Hey everybody, it's Thursday. We made it already. Everything is kind of a little bit the same, except Bitcoin is $3,500 higher than it was on Monday, which shows you that the recovery is in play and has a whole bunch of data points to support that thesis as to what's going on. This is going to be a 37 nugget story today, so buckle in. We'll be talking about, let me see, Ponzi's, Petrodollars, Bitcoin, bunch of charts, bunch of flows, bunch of data, and let's find out where we are. So the question is the sell-off over? I think so. That's because, like, when I bought the bottom, that's when I hoped it was over. And this is, of course, not financial advice. Thank you to Sean Donnelly as well for keeping us all safe. Let's get into the news first. Fear and greed, big bounce, and more of a bounce coming. Again, like clockwork that I've illustrated before, anytime fear falls to like 30 in a bull market, that's a beautiful buy signal, ladies and gentlemen. When people are scared, you buy. Okay? Simple. When people are greedy, you hedge or you sell. Let's check out where we are so far in the monthly returns. Still down 8% for the month of June. That is not too pretty. But the previous month we were up 12, so still net ahead. But let's zoom out and let's find out where we are in this space over the last 365 days. This is from Altcoin Investing Picks. Beautiful little chart just popped into my radar this morning. 1 year change for Bitcoin up 99.46%. Year to date change 38.6%. 1 month change down 10.39%. Remember, these are 30-day periods. When I show you the previous chart, that is for June, which started 27 days ago. Remember that. I would like to highlight another factor too, though. Solana, 738%. Call it 740% for the year. And it's even a lot higher if you go back 18 months. So that's the crypto market. And let's jump into other stuff too. This is an amazing little story from Vivek. And I call it lifestyle chips as long as Raoul Paul. This person hodled from 10 cents all the way to $62,000. And they just sold 49.999999 Bitcoin for over $3 million. Well done. And they still have more, so it's not the entire bag. But now they get to go shopping with $3 million and burn that money. We'll talk more about burning money as well in a minute. Other things that are kind of interesting, and we can't talk about Bitcoin sometimes in isolation, but crypto is really becoming a thing. We had the Bitcoin ETF approval. We're apparently getting the ETH ETF approval next week, although nobody's really talking about it. And now VanEck filed for a Solana ETF following Bitcoin and Ethereum approvals. What this does and why we care is it validates the space. And there's no denying crypto. Again, embrace or die, like I've been saying for years. Speaking of trying to kill crypto, this is breaking news from Bitcoin Magazine. Coinbase is suing the SEC, alleging regulators are trying to cripple the crypto industry on purpose and breaking the law in the process. Now, there's a thing called the Freedom of Information Act, and that gives companies like Coinbase the right to access data. What was the SEC doing? What's also interesting is, the SEC, which is the U.S. government, charges Coinbase for operating like a securities exchange. And at the same time, the U.S. government also uses Coinbase to sell hundreds of millions of dollars in Bitcoin. Is that an expression, have your cake and eat it too, or something like that? I don't know. Weird stuff. But hopefully the Freedom of Information Act will again expose more lies. By the way, the FOIA came out in the late 90s, and I remember it. And I was very excited about it because we like truth. Anyway, candidates as well. Speaking of truth, candidates are lining up for the Bitcoin conference in Nashville. This lady, her name is Tulsi Gabbard. I don't even know which party she's part of, but she's a presidential candidate. I don't follow politics. I share the news, so it'll be interesting to see what she says at Nashville when the Bitcoin conference happens. And rumor I covered last week of another fellow beginning with DT is also maybe potentially attending, and that would be big. Now, in Bitcoin lost news, this is kind of sad. So we had one wallet that held since 10 cents to 62,000, and Max Kaiser gave Russell Brand 1,000 Bitcoin 10 years ago today. And Russell Brand lost them forever. Super Soul Man, thank you for coming. But that is stunning. And as I always say, literally, somewhere between 1% and 4% of Bitcoin is lost every year through things like this. So technically, it is already deflationary. And this PSYOP predicts further Bitcoin plunge. That's all the oxygen we'll give to that character. Let's get into the charts. Lots of charts today. First of all, Titan of Crypto says a bounce is imminent. And what's nice about this chart is if you look at the stochastic at the bottom, green zone, RSI, oversold, boom, 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 which corresponds to the green dots on the chart, which are the trend lines, the growing trend line over time. And that was a trend line retest. B-Man, thank you for coming to. You're also kind. But therefore, that's called a trend line reset. And we are going up from here. The ETFs are back to buying. The whales are stacking hard. Mr. 100 is back to buying. Yes, the Germany is selling and the US government selling. And Mt. Gox is coming. But again, it's all overblown. The buyers now exceed the sellers, which is a good thing. This is another interesting chart that popped on my radar up on Discord today. The fastest assets to reach 1 trillion in market cap. Number 1, Microsoft, 44 years it took them. Number 2, Apple, 42 years. Number 3, Amazon, 24 years. Number 4, Google, 21 years. And Bitcoin, 12 years. Again, this list is not completely comprehensive. And of course, you have to take into account $1 trillion 44 years ago is very different to $1 trillion today because of the fiat Ponzi. Therefore, a lot of more things will hit $1 trillion much faster as we go forward. Let's talk about the drawdowns and where we are and why this cycle is very different. Once again, our side, thank you for coming. This is from Checkmate. Checkmate used to be a part of Glassnode. Now he has a thing called Check on Chain, which is really cool. And he looks at the bull market corrections in history. 2015 to 2017, 30% drawdowns in the bull market all the time. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 of them. Then in the 2019 to 2021 bull market, we had 2 50% events. 2023 to 2024, 15 to 20%. We had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them. So again, way shallower drawdowns, way weaker. And because you're all veterans, you know how to use these opportunities when they arrive at your doorstep. Let's talk about mining. A lot of Bitcoin mining stuff, and it is the backbone of Bitcoin. That's why we care. First of all, from Vivek, Bitcoin mining is now 55.8% sustainable energy. It is the most sustainable industry on the planet. No other industry uses as much renewable resources as Bitcoin mining does. So again, another piece of FUD dies, and this 55.8% will be, 56%, 58%, 60% in no time, because Bitcoin miners seek out the cheapest form of electricity, which invariably is always renewables. Now, let's talk about the miners still. Hash rate is down hard. Hash rate. I forgot to write in the word rate, but you can see here. Thank you, Jimmy, for coming. You can see here a big dip in the hash rate, which is great for the miners that are struggling or the miners that have inefficient rigs. This will help them all, again, keep the lights on for a little while. Now, a lot of talk about miners. Now you got mainstream media, CNBS, one of the best BS channels you can possibly find. They're even writing about Bitcoin mining. Crypto catches M&A frenzy as Bitcoin miners chase the AI boom. And what's interesting about this is everything that they say is actually correct, which took me aback a little bit. But what they talked about is how the miners have access to fiber lines, large amounts of power, very well-structured mining facilities, and how they are in contrast to traditional data centers. Not only do these Bitcoin miners, are they positioned around very solid sources of energy, but also in very secure locations and, of course, cheap energy. And I think JP Morgan wrote a month ago that some operators are feeling the financial pinch from the recent block reward halving since April, which cut industry revenues in half, and are exploring exit strategies. Now, I wouldn't call it exit strategies, but when CoreWeave knocked on Core Scientific's door and said, hey, we need your capacity, that got everybody excited. Now, in this article, I found it very interesting. They had this image posted from Whinstone CEO Chad Harris takes CNBC on a tour of the largest Bitcoin mine in North America. I'm like, huh? Who? Whinstone? Who are they? So obviously this is some legacy image. And Whinstone did have the largest facility. And guess what? When I dug into Whinstone, they were a private company, less than 10 employees, and they were acquired by Riot Blockchain. So Whinstone is now Riot. Riot now owns this facility, which is just ginormous when you see this hallway. But this is what the AI organizations want, is access to this capacity. And that's why it's a great time to be in the actual miners. Now, let's talk about the data center boom a little bit too, because by the end of 2024, companies are anticipating to raise a record $12 billion in financing in the asset-backed securities market to cover and finance data centers. This is huge. This is big. We have not only an AI revolution happening, but also the AI is powered by the data centers, and Bitcoin miners are very well positioned for this revolution. Let's check out where we are, though, year to date with the Bitcoin miners. First chart for Bitcoin miners today. No, second, because I did cover the green mining. This is WAGMI, which is a basket of Bitcoin miners compared to Bitcoin. You can create it yourself in TradingView. You just punch in WGMI divided by BTC USD. Boom, you get the chart. Now, if we go back to, say, middle of April, the miners were down 50% against Bitcoin. But they have recovered hard, really hard over the last 6 or 8 weeks because of the HPC demand for miners. It has completely re-underwritten the value of the Bitcoin miners, and now they are only falling 10% behind Bitcoin price. And I believe there's a lot more room to run too. So I remain bullish on the Bitcoin miners. Now, speaking of embrace or die, the crypto industry is witnessing a significant shift in political support within US Congress, with both chambers showing new degrees of enthusiasm for crypto-friendly policies. But there's a very notable partisan divide in the Senate on crypto issues, and a substantial number of Republican senators have positioned themselves strongly pro-crypto. Republican in the US means right, and they have a big willingness to support this. And this was a cool article put together by Crypto Slate. So I had to take the data and create a visual from it. And this is what I call embrace or die. Crypto wins. So purple is Republicans, blue is Democrats. And you can see nearly 5x more Republicans are pro-crypto. The anti-crypto army, you can see there's only like 5 Republicans who are anti-crypto. And literally a huge chunk of them are like far more, like 6x, 7x more Democrats are anti-crypto than pro-crypto. So it looks like from a political strategy perspective, maybe one party has checkmated the other by being pro-crypto. I myself am pro-crypto, so we'll see. I'm not taking any sides here. I'm just sharing data. And speaking of politics and governments, go JP, Jerome Powell, burn it to the ground. We are now in the era of fiscal dominance. Deficits are now running like 7 to 10% of GDP with no end in sight. The US is now spending more than $1.2 trillion in debt service, and it's going to $1.5 trillion by the end of the year by my math. And projections from the CBO, the Congressional Budget Office, do not expect this to improve through the year 2050. Aha. So the big question is, what role will the Fed play in this new regime? Basically, Deficits are exploding. Interest on debt is exploding, which is accelerating the deficits, which will accelerate the money printing. You don't want to be holding any of this fiat. And in fact, Elon Musk chimed in on a post here. What's a scam? That's so normalized that we don't even realize it's a scam anymore. And that is the fiat Ponzi theft. That's the perpetual inflation, the fake numbers, etc. Nobody notices. And Elon Musk called it out. He said fiat currency. He knows a lot about a lot of stuff. And he also knows about money, which is good. That's why he owns Bitcoin. Now, last chart, I think, before we get into some other charts, volatility is incoming. This is the typical seasonality of volatility for the year in election years. We are in an election year. So everybody, I always say seatbelts on. But as we get into September, October, November, things are going to be very volatile. So it'll be a good time to hedge and manage risk carefully because we like volatility. We like when things swing around wildly out there. And there's another chart from the petrodollar. This is super interesting. Shout out to Sanjay for sharing. Apparently, per Bloomberg and the IMF and the World Bank, Saudis no longer have petrodollars. Saudi Arabia has seen its current account surplus plunge from an all-time high of more than 50% of its GDP in 1974 when the petrodollar was born to now negative. So what are they doing? Well, Saudi Arabia has taken all of their fiat dollars, all the surplus, and invested it hard in future economies like AI, like building big cities, etc. So interesting to see. They are not holding their fiat, not holding their dollars. And that's how things change. Let's talk about this. At the very end of the video, you'll see the ability to subscribe to Bitcoin and Proxies playlist. Let's talk about the ETFs. And day 116 in the box. What's good news about this one is we had 2 positive days in a row. 31 million on Tuesday, 21.4 million on Wednesday. We have turned the tide from having a record 10 negative days. Now we are positive. Not a lot. And of course, BlackRock is missing from the numbers. How many days? BlackRock do $1 billion a day, and they 1, 2, 3, 4 days in a row with not one Bitcoin added. And over the last 10 days, only one day they added Bitcoin. So you know they're probably buying Bitcoin cheap, working with the market makers and finding a way to get a little bit of a slice of the action, which is why it's lucrative. That's why they can put these things out at very little fees at 25 basis points. Let's look at the ETF Macro update. We are getting above the middle line. And Grayscale was positive. Fidelity was positive. HODL was positive. A couple of big names. And yes, second positive day. Not a lot, but we'll take it. And 346 Bitcoin were taken from the system yesterday. Not exactly 450, a full day of issuance, but we'll take it. And Grayscale was positive. One of the rare positive days. They had yesterday about, I think it was 14 million or something. Or 34 million, I can't remember the exact number. But again, after the amount of dumpage they had, it was very clear that the ETF carry trade had been unwound. That's now over. The miners are close to record low levels of Bitcoin HODL. Again, as I said, the whales are stacking, everybody else getting in, and crypto is now a bona fide asset. Embrace or die. Thank you all for coming. I might be able to squeeze in another quick one later on a new topic that just broke the news today. So again, thank you to the mods in the chat, and thank you to Jimmy Neal and everybody else in Team Tesla for being here. See you all later. Bye-bye.